You're 52. It's Sunday night. You log into your 401k for the first time actually, you can't remember. You're pretty sure your password still has an exclamation point you added in 2017 because the system made you. The number loads, $141,000. You do the math. 15 years until retirement. 20 years of retirement after that. That's $587 a month. Your car payment is higher than your future retirement income. You close the laptop. You don't slam it. You close it gently, the way you'd close a coffin. Here's the thing. You're not alone. And you're not bad with money. You're a Gen Xer. And the system that was supposed to catch you was quietly replaced with a trampoline that has a hole in the middle. My name is Mr. Dollar. And today we're talking about the greatest bait and switch in American retirement history. How one generation got handed a broken experiment, told it was an upgrade, and is now staring down a $405,000 gap with the clock running out. But here's the difference between this video and the ones that just scare you. I'm going to give you the actual playbook, not save more money. You know that. At the end of this video, I'll give you 6 strategies that feel like cheat codes. Moves that most financial advisors don't mention because they're too busy selling you a target date fund and calling it a plan. Subscribe if that sounds useful. Let's go. Quick history lesson. Don't worry, it's the fun kind. The kind that makes you angry. Meet Lisa's dad, Harold. Harold worked at a plant in Ohio for 33 years. When Harold retired in 1994, his company handed him a pension, a guaranteed check, every month, forever. Harold didn't know what a mutual fund was. Harold didn't need to know what a mutual fund was. Harold's retirement plan was show up for 3 decades and we'll handle it. And they did. Now meet Lisa. Lisa started working in 1989. Same work ethic, same state, different universe. By the time Lisa got her first job, pensions were vanishing like socks in a dryer. In 1983, pensions made up 40% of retirement plans. By 2022, 6%. Today, only 14% of Gen Xers have a pension. And what replaced it? The 401k, which, and this is the part that should make you want to flip a table, was never designed to be a retirement plan. It was a tax loophole from 1978, a provision that let corporate executives defer compensation. Some genius in a boardroom looked at it and said, wait, what if we gave this to everyone and stopped funding pensions? Goldman Sachs literally calls Gen X the 401k experiment generation. Let me repeat that. Goldman Sachs, one of the most powerful financial institutions on the planet, used the word experiment on an entire generation. That's 65 million people enrolled in a retirement beta test, and nobody asked for their consent. Harold's company managed the money. Lisa manages the money. Harold couldn't outlive his pension. Lisa absolutely can outlive her savings. Harold had professionals making investment decisions. Lisa picked a target date fund from a drop-down menu in 2005 because the brochure said, set it and forget it. And brother, she forgot it. It's like your landlord handing you a stethoscope and saying, congratulations, you're your own doctor now. Same rent though. And the result? Gen Xers expect to retire with about $712,000. They think they need $1.12 million. That's a gap of $405,000, biggest of any generation. The experiment didn't just fail, it failed spectacularly. And the lab rats are now 10 years from retirement. Gen X has lived through 8 recessions. 8. They entered the workforce during one, hit their earning prime during the dot-com crash, had the rug pulled in 2008, which vaporized 31% of retirement account values nationwide, and then got hit again in 2020. It's like training for a marathon, but every 3 miles, someone moves the finish line back and releases a swarm of bees. But the market recovered. Sure, if you didn't panic sell, if you didn't raid your 401k, which 24% of Gen X 401k participants did. Nearly 1 in 4. Top reason? Unforeseen emergencies. Not beach vacations. Not crypto. Emergencies. Like being a human being with a life. Now let's talk about the sandwich generation, which sounds like a deli order, but is actually a hostage situation. Linda is 51. She's paying her son's college costs and her mom's medical bills. Every dollar she sends to either one is a dollar that doesn't compound for the next 15 years. She took an $18,000 hardship withdrawal from her 401k for her mom's hip surgery. After taxes and the 10% penalty, that $18,000 cost her roughly $24,000. And if it had stayed invested for 15 years at 7%, that's about $49,700 gone. Linda lost 50 grand for being a good daughter. The IRS thanks her for her service. She should have had an emergency fund. Great! You want to build one on a nurse's salary while funding 3 generations? I mean, maybe cut back on... Finish that sentence. I dare you. Oldest Gen Xers hit 65 in 2030. Social Security Trust Fund hits empty in 2033. 3-year gap. If Congress doesn't act, and let's be honest, Congress moves like a DMV line in a power outage, benefits get cut roughly 23% automatically. That's $437 less per month, forever. Charles heard about this and said, I'll just claim early at 62. Charles, buddy, claiming at 62 instead of 67 permanently reduces your benefit by 30%. That's not getting money sooner. That's paying a 30% fee to access your own safety net. That's Ticketmaster, but for your retirement. 2 reasons you haven't dealt with this. 1. Temporal discounting. Your brain treats future money like monopoly money. $1 today feels real. $1 in 2040 feels like science fiction. Studies show people will take $50 now over $100 in a year. Your retirement? That's $100 in 15 years. Your brain physically doesn't care yet. 2. Ostrich syndrome. When the gap between where you are and where you need to be is terrifying, your brain protects you by simply not looking. That's why 53% of Gen Xers have done 0 retirement planning. It's not laziness, it's self-defense. It's like checking the score when your team is down 40. You'd rather just not know. And the financial industry loves this. Every month you don't check your old 401k, they collect fees. Your ignorance is their revenue stream. The system doesn't need you to be smart. It needs you to be asleep. So, wake up. Here's how. Here's where we stop grieving and start scheming. You're behind. That's different from too late. Too late means the game is over. Behind means you need moves other people aren't making. And I've got 6 of them. Move 1. Run your brutal number. Calculate 2 things. 1. What you actually have across all accounts. Current 401k, any old 401ks from former employers, IRAs, brokerage, everything. 2. What you need. Quick formula. Take your desired annual retirement income, subtract expected Social Security, multiply the rest by 25. Want $60,000 per year? Expect $22,000 from Social Security? You need $950,000. Now subtract. That gap? Write it on a sticky note. Put it on your bathroom mirror. Let it irritate you every morning. Irritation is underrated as a financial strategy. Move 2. The solo 401k side door. Here's one most advisors won't mention because it requires creativity. If you have any side income at all, freelancing, consulting, selling vintage records on eBay, tutoring, anything, you can open a solo 401k. And here's the trick. You contribute as both the employee and the employer. The combined limit? Up to $69,000 per year. Potentially more than double what you can put in your regular 401k. You're not just saving. You're creating a second retirement pipeline that didn't exist 5 minutes ago. Even $500 a month in a solo 401k for 10 years at 7% is about $86,000. That's an entire year of retirement income from a side hustle you started at 52. Lisa's been doing bookkeeping for her neighbor's small business on weekends. She makes about $12,000 a year from it. She didn't know she could shelter nearly all of it tax-free. Now she does. Move 3. The zombie account raid. If you've worked for more than 2 employers, and who hasn't, you probably have orphaned 401s sitting in old plans, charging fees you've never reviewed, in allocations you set when flip phones were cutting edge. The average unmanaged 401k charges between 0.5% and 1.5% in fees. On $50,000, that's up to $750 a year being silently drained. Roll them all into one IRA. Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, pick one. Consolidate. Now you see your real total, you control the fees, and you stop subsidizing a fund company you haven't worked for since Bush was president. Charles found $31,000 in an old 401k sitting in a stable value fund earning 1.8%. After inflation, that money was going backwards. He rolled it into an IRA, put it in a low-cost index fund, and it's now actually working. He called it his found money. It was never lost, Charles. You just weren't looking. Move 4. The Roth conversion ladder, the tax arbitrage play. This one's the chef's kiss. Here's how it works. If you have traditional 401k or IRA money, every dollar you withdraw in retirement gets taxed as ordinary income. But what if there's a window? A year you earn less than usual, maybe between jobs, maybe you take a sabbatical, maybe you retire early before Social Security kicks in, where your income drops and you're in a lower tax bracket. You convert a chunk of your traditional IRA into a Roth IRA during that low-income year. You pay taxes on the conversion at your current low rate. Then, in retirement, that money grows and gets withdrawn completely tax-free, forever. You're exploiting a temporary tax dip to permanently reduce your tax burden. If you convert $30,000 in a year you're in the 12% bracket instead of the 22%, you just saved $3,000 in future taxes. Do that for 5 years? That's $15,000 you kept from the IRS. Legally, ethically, and with a smile. The IRS wrote the rules. You're just reading them more carefully than they expected. Move 5. The geographic arbitrage escape hatch. Your retirement number isn't fixed. It changes based on where you live. If you're in a high-cost metro and you need $60,000 a year, what if you moved somewhere that lifestyle costs $38,000? Your $712,000 in savings goes from not enough to actually pretty comfortable. That's not running away. That's strategic relocation. Military commanders don't call it retreating. They call it redeploying to favorable terrain. Cost of living in Asheville, North Carolina is 20% below the national average. Tucson, Arizona, 16% below. San Antonio, Texas, 14% below. No state income tax. Some Gen Xers are looking at Portugal and Mexico, where your dollar stretches 2 to 3 times further and the healthcare systems are well regarded. You don't have to solve the gap entirely with savings. You can solve part of it with geography. Move 6. The strategic delay. Make time pay you. Here's the final move, and it's counterintuitive. Every year you delay retirement from 62 to 70, 3 things happen simultaneously. Your savings get 1 more year of contributions and compounding, your Social Security benefit increases by about 8% per year, and your drawdown period gets shorter. Delaying from 62 to 67 can increase your total retirement income by 40% or more. That's not working longer because you failed. That's running up the score. Charles says, "But I don't want to work until 70. Nobody does, Charles. But working from 62 to 65, 3 extra years, while using that time to max out catch-up contributions, execute Roth conversions in a lower bracket, and let Social Security benefits grow, that 3-year sacrifice could be worth $200,000 or more in lifetime income. That's not working longer. That's getting paid $66,000 a year to wait." Here's what you need to walk away with. The system failed Gen X. Pensions disappeared. The 401k experiment was underfunded, poorly explained, and launched without a manual. 8 recessions, sandwich generation pressure, and a social security system running on fumes. That's real. It's not your fault. But, and I say this with respect, fault and responsibility are different zip codes. The gap exists, and you're the only person who's going to close it. Not Congress, not your employer, not the market. You. So run your brutal number this week. Open a solo 401k if you have any side income. Raid your zombie accounts. Learn the Roth conversion ladder. Consider geographic arbitrage. And if you delay retirement by even 2 or 3 years, do it strategically, not desperately. You were the experiment. But experiments don't have to fail. They just have to adapt. And adaptation is literally what Gen X does best. You survived grunge, dial-up internet, Y2K, the dot-com crash, 2008, a pandemic, and whatever that thing was in 2016. You can survive this. If this video made something click for you or for someone you love who's quietly doing that Sunday night laptop math, share it. Tag that Gen Xer in your life who needs to hear, you're not too late, but you need to move. Subscribe. We're going to keep finding the moves the system doesn't advertise. Now close YouTube and go find your zombie accounts. That 1.8% stable value fund isn't going to roll itself over.